Welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you all about the 1950s. So let's test our brains, keep our minds functioning at a youthful level, and start with question number 1. According to the U.S. Census, what was the top male name of the 1950s? Was it Tom? Was it James? Or was it Michael? The top name was James. According to the U.S. Census, what was the top female name of the 1950s? Was it Linda? Was it Patricia? Or was it Mary? It was Mary. Who was the first African American to win a Pulitzer Prize in 1950? Was it Gwendolyn Brooks? Was it Langston Hughes? Or was it Alice Walker? It was Gwendolyn Brooks. Which Disney movie was released in 1955? Was it Lady and the Tramp? Was it Cinderella? Or was it Sleeping Beauty? In 1955, it was Lady and the Tramp. Julia Childs earned her diploma in cuisine from which famous cooking school? Was it Hattori Nutrition College? Was it Westminster Kingsway College? Or was it Le Cordon Bleu? It was Le Cordon Bleu. What famously controversial hit book was published on July 16, 1951? Was it Kite Runner? Was it Catcher in the Rye? Or was it To Kill a Mockingbird? It was Catcher in the Rye. In what year did the first Peanuts comic strip debut? Was it 1957? Was it 1953? Or was it 1950? The first Peanuts comic strip debuted in 1950. What was the last U.S. state to join the Union? Was it Hawaii? Was it Alaska? Or was it New Mexico? The last state to join the Union was Hawaii. Which popular sitcom debuted on October 15, 1951? Was it Leave It to Beaver? Was it I Love Lucy? Or was it Father Knows Best? That sitcom was I Love Lucy. Which landmark U.S. Supreme Court case determined separate but equal is not equal? Brown versus the Board of Education, Plessy versus Ferguson, or was it Marbury versus Madison? It was Brown versus the Board of Education. On July 17, 1955, Disney opened a theme park in which location? Was it Tokyo, Japan? Was it Paris, France? Or was it Anaheim, California? It was Anaheim, California. In which film did the famous 50s pop culture star Audrey Hepburn win her first Oscar award? Was it Breakfast at Tiffany's? Was it Roman Holiday? Or was it Sabrina? It was Roman Holiday. Which world leader died of a stroke on March 5, 1953? Was it Winston Churchill? Was it Joseph Stalin? Or was it Mohammad Mossadegh? And that was Joseph Stalin. What military alliance was formed by the Eastern Bloc of Europe in May 14, 1955? Was it the Warsaw Pact? Was it NATO? or was it the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact? It was the Warsaw Pact. Who was the British monarch that was crowned in 1953? That British monarch was none other than Queen Elizabeth II. Betty White won her first Emmy for her performance in which show? Password, Mama's Family, or was it Life with Elizabeth? It was Life with Elizabeth. Which team of two became the first to summit Mount Everest? Was it Henry Staley and David Livingstone? Was it Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay? Or was it Meriwether Lewis and William Clark? It was Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. Which country gained independence from the British Empire on August 31st, 1957? Was it Malaysia? Was it Indonesia? Or was it Singapore? And that country was Malaysia. What important genetic discovery was made in 1953 by Watson and Crick? The recessive gene, the double helix structure, or was it the mutation of cells? It was the double helix structure. Who was the winner of the first Miss America broadcast in 1954? Neva Jane Langley, Lee Ann Meriwether, or was it Evelyn Margaret Sempier? It was Evelyn Margaret Sempier. On July 29, 1958, which U.S. agency was signed into existence by President Eisenhower? Was it the FDA? Was it OSHA? Or perhaps it was NASA? It was NASA. In 1952, the first hydrogen bomb was detonated where? Was it in Alamogordo bombing range? Maybe it was the Eniwetok Atoll, Marshall Islands, or perhaps Area 51 Test Site, Nevada. It was Eniwetok Atoll, Marshall Islands. What famous American politician rose to power by accusing others of being communist? Was it Joseph McCarthy? Was it Dean Acheson? Or maybe it was Harry Truman? Of course, it was Joseph McCarthy. Which proxy war in the Cold War resulted in a stalemate? Was it Vietnam? Did the Tibetan uprising result in a stalemate? Or was it the first Taiwan Strait crisis? It was the first Taiwan Strait crisis. Before the Antarctic Treaty of 1959, which of these countries claimed a part of Antarctica? Was it Canada? Was it France? Or was it Russia? It was France. In 1954, Marilyn Monroe's second marriage would be with whom? Arthur Miller? James Doherty? Or was her second husband Joe DiMaggio? Marilyn Monroe's second husband was Joe DiMaggio. On January 29, 1954, Oprah Winfrey was born where? Gladstone, Missouri? Was she born in Kalamazoo, Michigan? Or did she begin life in Kosciuszko, Mississippi? She was born in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. In 1956, the first U.S. climate-controlled indoor mall was opened in which state? Did Minnesota have the first one? Did New Jersey have the first indoor climate-controlled mall, or was it Washington? It was in Minnesota. Who Who was the 1954 Nobel Prize Literature winner? Francois Mauriac, Ernest Hemingway, or was it Haldor Killian Loxness? The winner was Ernest Hemingway. The famous 381-day bus boycott took place in which U.S. city? Was it Albany, New York? Was it in Greensboro, North Carolina? Or did it take place in Montgomery, Alabama? It was Montgomery, Alabama. The 1958 Great Leap Forward plan was started in which country? Was it in Laos? Was the Great Leap Forward in North Korea? Or did it start in China? The Great Leap Forward started in China. What was Elvis Presley's first commercial single? Was it Can't Help Falling in Love? Was it That's All Right? Or was it Jailhouse Rock? His first commercial single was That's All Right. Who was the lead actress and protagonist in The Wizard of Oz? Was it Judy Garland? Was it Margaret Hamilton? Or was it Billie Burke? The lead actress and protagonist. Dorothy. It was Judy Garland. The famous Broadway hit show West Side Story was originally planned to have what name? Was it originally going to be called North Side Story? Maybe South Side Story? Perhaps it was East Side Story instead. Originally, it would have been East Side Story. What was the name of the first artificial satellite launched? Was it the Explorer 1? Was it the Sputnik 1? Or was the Dong Fang Hong satellite? The first one launched was Sputnik 1. Which of these music icons were not born in the year 1958? Michael Jackson, Madonna, or Elton John? One of them was not born in 1958. That would be Elton John. Who was the Cuban revolutionary who took control in 1959? The Cuban revolutionary took control of Cuba in 59. Fidel Castro. What controversial book took the U.S. by storm in 1958, selling 100,000 copies in just 3 weeks? Lolita, Gone with the Wind, or was it Fahrenheit 451? It was Lolita. What famous and thought to be cursed jewel was donated to the Smithsonian in 1958? Was it the Delhi Purple Sapphire? Was it the Hope Diamond? Or was it the Black Prince's Ruby? It was the Hope Diamond. Who was the 1952 Nobel Peace Prize winner in science? Was it Anne Lehouillier? Was it Albert Schweitzer? Or was it Ferenc Krauss? It was Albert Schweitzer. Who was the original singer of the song, Your Cheatin' Heart? Was it Johnny Burnett? Was it Hank Williams? Or was it first sung by Perry Como? It was Hank Williams. The polio virus vaccine was developed by Jonas Salk in which year? Was it 1958? Was it 1952? Or was it 1955? The polio virus vaccine was developed in 1955. What was Frank Sinatra's middle name? Was he Frank Albert Sinatra? Maybe it was Frank Robert Sinatra. Or maybe Mama named him Frank Vincent Sinatra. It was Albert, Frank Albert Sinatra. Which Korean War general had subsequent plans for a full-scale invasion of China? Was it Douglas MacArthur? Was it Matthew Ridgway? Or were those plans held by Bernard Fall? That was Douglas MacArthur's idea. The Algerian War was a decolonization conflict between Algeria and which colonial power? Was it Spain? Was it England? Or were they rebelling against France? They were decolonizing against France. When did the U.S. occupation of Japan end? Was it 1950? Was it 1951? Or did U.S. occupation end in 1952? And it ended in 1952. The Great Smog of London occurred in which month in 1952? Was it May? Was it December? Or did it take place in February? The Great Smog of London occurred in December of 1952. Which movie star was buried in a Dracula cape? Was it Bela Lugosi? Was it Lon Chaney Jr.? Or was it Christopher Lee? Buried in a Dracula cape? That was Bela Lugosi. It was a terrific Dracula. Two activists for which cause failed an assassination attempt on President Truman? Was it Puerto Rico independence? Was it the Communist Revolution movement? Or was it a Native American rights group? It was a group for Puerto Rican independence. Which U.S. airline company was the first to fly their own purchased planes in 1959? Was it Delta Airlines? Was it United Airlines? Or was it American Airlines? It was American Airlines. What was the name of the first spacecraft to reach the moon's surface? Was the first one there Sputnik 4? Was it Luna 2? Or was it the Apollo 2 lunar module? The first spacecraft was the Luna 2. Where was the first nuclear power plant opened? Pripyat? Was it St. Petersburg? Or was it Omninskoye? The first nuclear power plant that was opened was in Omninskoye. Where was the first transistor computer built? At the University of Manchester, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or was it built at Oxford University? It was built at the University of Manchester. The 1952 Summer Olympics were held in which city? Was it Berlin? Was it Porto? Or were they held in Helsinki? The 1952 Summer Olympics were held in Helsinki. Which famous American author went by the writer name Dr. Seuss? Was it Theodore Geisel? Was it Stephen Kellogg? Or was it Margarita Engel? The nom de plume for Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel. The characters Beezus and Ramona first appeared in a published book in which year? Was it 1952? Was it 1955? Or was it 1959? It was 1955. Marlon Brando's first movie debut was in which film? A Streetcar Named Desire, The Man, or On the Waterfront? Brando's first movie debut. That was the film The Man. In 1959, actor Ben-Hur broke the record of winning the most Oscars when he won. Did he win 9 Oscars? Did he win 10 Oscars? Or did he win 11 Oscars? It was 11 Oscars. Which art style was widely popular in the mid-1950s and used by artists like Jackson Pollock? Abstract Expressionism, Cubism, or Postmodern Surrealism? It was Abstract Expressionism. The 1950s World Cup was hosted by which country? Was it hosted by Brazil, Norway, or Uruguay? The hosting country was Brazil. The 1950s World Cup was won by which country? Was it won by Brazil? Was it won by Norway? Or were the champions the team from Uruguay? And it was the team from Uruguay. What was the last Abbott and Costello film released before they parted ways? Was it Coming Around the Mountain? Was it The Time of Their Lives? Or was it Dance With Me, Henry? It was Dance With Me, Henry. On June 19, 1953, which country declared itself a republic? Was it Egypt? Was it Czechoslovakia? Or was it Thailand? It was Egypt that declared itself a republic on that day. Which American rock star was born in January 1953? Was it David Lee Roth? Was it Pat Benatar? Or was it Nancy Wilson? Who was born in January 53? It was Pat Benatar. Food rationing from World War II in Great Britain ended in which year? Was the year 1952? Did they stop rationing in 53? Or did they wait until 1954? Food rationing ended in Great Britain in 1954. Various powers fought over the Suez Canal during the Suez Crisis. Which emerged victorious? Was it Egypt? Did Israel emerge victorious? Or was it Saudi Arabia? Egypt was victorious over the Suez Canal crisis. What was the first organ ever transplanted in 1954? Was a heart transplanted? Was a liver transplanted? Or was it a kidney that got transplanted in 1954? It was a kidney. The Chinese Communist Party's Four Pests campaign did not include which animal? Sparrows, rats, or locusts? Which was not one of the 4 pests? Locusts. Who was the president? Who was the president of the United States at the beginning of the 1950s? Dwight Eisenhower, Harry Truman, or Franklin Roosevelt? It was Harry Truman. What is considered China's worst catastrophe that ended the Great Leap Forward? Was it the Nanjing Massacre, the Shaanxi earthquake, or the Great Chinese Famine? It was the Great Chinese Famine. Where was the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, SEATO, signed? Was it signed in Bangkok, Thailand? Was it Manila, the Philippines? Or was it Hanoi, Vietnam? It was Manila, Philippines. True or false? Ray Kroc, the man behind McDonald's, introduced the Filet-O-Fish in the 1950s. Is that true? Or is it false? It was false. It was in the 1960s. On January 23, 1958, which South American country overthrew its dictator, Marcos Pérez Jiménez? Ecuador, Brazil, or Venezuela? It was Venezuela. The fashionable coonskin cap was popularized by which TV series character? Davy Crockett, Roy Rogers, or The Lone Ranger? The fashionable coonskin cap was popularized by Davy Crockett. Dairy Queen opened the first store in which U.S. state? Illinois, Wisconsin, or Minnesota? The first Dairy Queen opened in Illinois. What was the name of the fourth network that ceased operations in 1956? Was it Jetix? Was it Dumont? Or was it NBC? It was the Dumont Network. In 1951, the Topps Company released what popular collectible item? Stamps? Antique tools? Or were they baseball cards? They were baseball cards. Just a little strip of pink gum. The CBS logo was an eye with what background? Was it a white background? Was it a background of clouds? Or was it a background of water? The CBS logo had clouds as a background. Which entertainment venue was known as the Passion Pits? Bowling alleys, dive bars, or drive-ins? Passion Pits were also known as drive-in theaters. In 1953, Hugh Hefner first published which widely popular magazine? Was it Playboy? Was it National Geographic? Or was it the ever-popular Rolling Stone? It was Playboy. When early television stations were not broadcasting in the evenings, what could you see on the screen? Did they go to paid programming? Did they show local news? Or were they test patterns? They were test patterns with an annoying tone. Which fantasy series book was published in 1954? A Song of Fire and Ice, The Fellowship of the Ring, or The Strange Land? It was The Fellowship of the Ring. Which Peanuts character did not appear in the first published comic strip? Was it Snoopy? Was it Shermie? Or was it Patty that did not appear? Not appearing in the first comic strip? Snoopy. What show did the New York City Ballet premiere on Broadway in 1954? Was it The Nutcracker, Cats, or was it The Producer? It was The Nutcracker. On what network did Leave It to Beaver premiere? Did it premiere on NBC? Was it ABC? Or did it appear on CBS? Leave It to Beaver premiered on CBS. Which toy, invented in 1957, took the U.S. by storm, giving kids fun and exercise? Was it the skateboard? Was it the jump rope? Or was it the hula hoop? It was the hula hoop. What Broadway musical premiered on NBC starring a female playing a male character in 1955? Was it Peter Pan? Was it the Lion King? Or was it Hadestown? It was Peter Pan. The first television station dedicated to education was located in which U.S. city? Was it Pittsburgh? Was it Chicago? Or was it in Columbus? The first station dedicated to education was in Pittsburgh. Which U.S. president was the first to make a transcontinental broadcast? Was it Dwight D. Eisenhower? Was it Harry S. Truman? Or was it John F. Kennedy, who made the first transcontinental broadcast? It was President Harry Truman. Which 1951 movie won the 24th Academy Award for Best Motion Picture? A Place in the Sun? A Streetcar Named Desire? Or was it An American in Paris? Was An American in Paris. The 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, added in 1951, determines what? Repeals the 18th Amendment, term limits on presidents, or the right to vote in elections. The 22nd Amendment sets term limits on presidents. Who were the first U.S. civilians executed for military crimes in times of peace? The Rosenbergs? The Williams? Or was it the Andersons? It was the Rosenbergs. Where did Typhoon Vera make landfall in 1959? Was it the Philippines? Was it Haiti? Or was it Japan? Typhoon Vera made landfall in Japan. Which actor died in 1955 at the young age of 24 years old? Was it Bruce Lee? Was it Aaliyah? Or was it James Dean, who died at 24 years of age in 55? It was James Dean. What was the name of the first dog to go into space? The first dog into space. Poor puppy. That dog's name was Laika. What toy was released in 1959 and became an instant hit? Was it Barbie? Was it Rubik's Cube? Or was it the yo-yo? That was the Barbie doll. Which TV show premiered in 1954 and is currently still running to this day? The Tonight Show? The Late Night Show? Or is it The Daily Show? Premiered in 1954 and still going today, The Tonight Show. In 1950, the first successful test of which product took place? Was it gene splicing? Was it video calling? Or were they credit cards? It was credit cards. Visa cards used to go by an alternative name in 1958. What was that name? Were they MasterCards? Were they Bank Americards? Or were they Credit Unite cards? Visa used to go by Bank Americards. And question 100. Which Japanese car company made the first Japanese car sold in the U.S.? Was it Datsun? Was it Toyota? Or was it Honda? The first Japanese car sold in the U.S. was a Toyota. And that's it. That's 100 questions from the 1950s. This has been Quiz Time. Thanks for playing. Drop your score in the comment, please. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for playing. We'll see you in the next video.